On today's show, Joel Embiid and the Sixers hold off Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs comeback attempt. What do we think about the Sixers going forward? And what do the Cavs depend on to actually get to the next level? We'll talk about that and more in today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On NBA your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show, listen every day, watch every day, and to comment below. Let us know, how far do you think the Sixers are going to go this season? First round, second round? What, Eastern Finals? Finals, win the title? Let us know in the comment section below. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today. FanDuel.com/LockedOn space today to get started. Make sure we have a Locked On Today show. I want to make sure that's clear. Joining me, as always, on a Thursday, host of Locked On Bulls. What you got for me, Pat the Designer?
I thought Kevin Durant was in Phoenix. Who was putting up 45 points over in Brooklyn?
Some 7-foot wingspaned wing is just like going off for the Brooklyn Nets. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Is Mikal Bridges the next like SGA, the next Brunson, the next role player that's going to go to get a bigger opportunity and become like this next guy? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Sixers and the Cavs, and of course, we'll play our favorite game, Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA this week, including the difference in generations between Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley in video games. And we'll talk about Bones Hyland throwing some shade back at the Nuggets. So we'll talk about that today. But let's get into this first. The Philadelphia 76ers built a huge, 27-point lead, which is, I guess, not huge in the NBA anymore. I need to be careful when I say huge lead, because a huge lead is like 40 now in the NBA. No 20-point lead is safe anymore. But they built up a 28-point lead. It's 27-point lead in the third quarter, and it all started because of a 21-2 run by the Sixers. What did you see early from the Sixers in this game?
I mean, they were moving the ball crisp, man. I thought that James Harden was facilitating it well. I thought that Joel Embiid's post fades were masterful.
We'll talk about. I want to talk about those. We'll talk about those in a minute.
Every time down the court, you know what I mean. But listen, they looked like they were clicking on all cylinders. They were able to get inside. I thought that Joel Embiid drawing in the two bigs really made a big difference in
they were ready with the doubles.
The rest of the offense, how the rest of the offense was able to operate on that, right? Like Cleveland's really big on, okay, we've got our bigs down here. We've got Jared Allen. We've got Evan Mobley. They're going to be able to switch out and use their length to cause some havoc. When Joel Embiid's down there taking them both away from you, you're able to operate your offense a lot better. I thought that made a big difference in this game.
They executed so well in that first quarter. That was a good word from you. 11 assists for 13 made field goals. Like, that is just, they were executing at a really high level. 8 assists for Harden. We're seeing now this point Harden, PG Harden, Pagardin, whatever you Pagardin. That's what we're calling it before we hit record. Pagardin. You're seeing PG Harden. And he was just dishing all over the place. Like, he put the ball in his hands. He's going to make the best decision, and it's working for the Sixers team. So they built up that big lead. Then the Cavs go on a little 13-0 run in the third quarter, cut the lead to 12. Sixers pull it back up to 20. And then the fourth quarter happens. Philly starts, no Harden, no Embiid on the floor, a couple of turnovers early. Cleveland has a small push, and they just keep inching back in the game. Mobley in the second half, got a bunch of opportunistic buckets, I would call them. 21 points in the second half for him. Incredible. Donovan Mitchell, 25 points for him in the second half. Got 7 of those from the free throw line, was just getting a bunch of buckets, was just scoring on anybody that was in front of him, really. And then they cut it down. Cleveland cut it down to 4 with about a minute and a half left. And then you kind of get in the foul game, but Mobley fouls too early. They didn't want to foul in that moment. About 40 seconds left in the game. It's a 4-point game. And Mobley fouls a little too early. James Harden goes to the free throw line. The Cavs couldn't win a free throw game like that. But let's talk about the Sixers, because the Sixers do get the win, and then we'll talk about the Cavs side of it. What's Philly capable of? Like, what are we seeing with this Philly team? Because they've had some really good wins. Like, we've seen some of these really good wins from the Sixers team. They'll have some duds every once in a while. Every team in the NBA does. The league's just too good. But what do we think for the Sixers team? Are they showing you anything new?
I think the question that still remains, right, is who's going to be that third guy that consistently steps up. To me, this is the same team we've always seen, right? In the first half, they look like that team that, oh my God, they're unstoppable because Tyrese Maxey able to knock down shots, right? DeAnthony Melton is able to knock down shots. Tobias Harris is able to knock down shots. But the thing with that Sixers team to me is I know what Joel Embiid's going to be. He's 20 plus, 25 plus every night. He might give you 10 rebounds at a minimum.
Joel Embiid is tied for the leading scorer in the NBA. He is 33 a game every day. He is taking this next step. Him and Luka are number 1 and 2 in the NBA in scoring this year.
Of course, right? 25 is a minimum is what I'm saying. Like no matter, like you can go to sleep and wake up and be like, Joel Embiid's probably going to get past 25%. but you know, he's going to give you the rebounds. He's adding in a little bit of facilitating out of the post, which I like to see from him a lot in that. James Harden is coming in, becoming a consummate double-double guy for this team, right? Tonight, 19 and 12. I like what I'm seeing from Pagardin, is if that's what we're dubbing him.
Stupid name that we came up with.
It's so dumb, but we're gonna hold on to it.
Pagardin.
But the thing for me is, right, like I've seen Tyrese Maxey be the guy. I've seen Tobias Harris be the guy at times. Who's consistently going to be that third option that puts you over the top? Because we've seen in this modern NBA, if you're going to be in the ECF, if you're going to be in the NBA Finals, you need to have a consistent guy or at least 2 consistent guys that are going to get you 15 plus a night, right? Tobias Harris sometimes kind of just falls into the dude that's a spot-up shooter in the corner, and we've seen playoff series after playoff series. That's not the best role for him.
Yeah, we've seen this. This team has been very different. We saw them start 12 and 12 at the start of the season. Like this was not a team. Well, they started 1 and 4, and everyone was saying that the walls were all closing down on them. But they started 13 or 12 and 12, and you're like, this was a team a lot of people, including myself, picked to be number 1 in the East because we're like, this team's going to have something to prove. This team's going to have to come out and say, all right, we've got to be the best team. We've got to come out on all cylinders. And since then, they've been really good. They've won 23. They've gone 23 and 25 and 6 or something like that. 25 and 7. Since then, they've been great. And Joel Embiid's been leading them. We've seen Harden step into this point guard role a little bit more. We've seen Maxey. He's become that third guy. Like Tobias Harris is going to be opportunist and he's going to hit some open shots, but it's got to be Maxey, I think, at times in this game. We saw him in the fourth quarter hit a couple of shots. Tobias was hitting threes in the first quarter, and Maxey was hitting a couple of shots late in this game. So it's going to have to be him. And it's what they're capable of, I think, is dependent on what he can do and then how good their defense can be. Like, how good can your defense be with Harden, like Embiid, Tobias? That's going to be the question that you're going to have to answer. The thing with Joel Embiid's fadeaways, though, is this is something I was watching as I was watching this game. Joel Embiid took, how many shots did he take? Joel Embiid took like 21 shots. 21 shots in this game. I think the majority of them were these floater, like fadeaway type stuff. He hit a bunch of shots in the paint. He hit like a couple fadeaways. He took 2 threes, missed both of them. But he's taken these like mid-range fadeaway floater Dirk-esque type of shots. And you look at it and you go, at one side of me, if I had 2 different angels on 2 different deities on my shoulder, right? I have Shaq on one side that's like, hey, big man, get in the paint. Go down and get in the paint. Go dominate the paint.
That's your Shaq.
That's my Shaq. That's what I got.
We got to work on that.
That's what I got. And then the other side of it is like is maybe Daryl Morey. And he's like, you gotta get out there. You gotta add something to your game. The analytics are saying that shot is there for you. You hit that shot at a high level. It's next level. That's my Daryl Morey. That's a terrible Daryl Morey. I see what he's doing though with it. Like my immediate reaction is I want to see him not take that shot because he can get better shots doing something else. But if he adds that shot to his game, that changes their playoffs, like where they can be as a playoff team. Because if he adds that shot, that's the shot Kawhi Leonard has made his bread with in the playoffs. Yeah. He gets to that spot, he hits that shot. Nobody can stop him, especially Embiid being as big as he is. I mean, KD hits that shot too. But like if he gets that shot, so I kind of see what he's doing with it, even though everything in me says don't take that shot. Like, don't do that.
It's a give and take, right? Like when he's knocking it down, you love the shot.
Yeah.
It's a shot that feels good. If he's not knocking it down right, the good thing about Joel Embiid is he has the ability to just be like, all right, I'm not going to take that shot this game. I'm just going to go through you. And there's also nothing you can do about it. So I think it kind of just depends on him. There's not many bigs in this NBA. I mean, there's no bigs in this NBA that I'm worried about being able to defend Joel Embiid really well.
The Cavs have Jared Allen, who'd be like one of the best in the NBA that you would think at guarding him, and he's like holding on for dear life against him. There are certain plays where Joel Embiid ran through him, and you're like,
yeah.
Teams would love to have a Jared Allen. The Mavs would love to have a Jared Allen type, and he can't even like stand in front of them.
And I think that's the weird part, right? Like I feel like there's this threshold, like talking about how far this team can get. There's this threshold where like, I feel like if Philly just could get through the actual like Eastern Conference,
they got to do that first.
There's nothing the West can do.
They've got to get to the Eastern Conference.
Joel Embiid.
They've got to get to the Eastern Conference Finals first. Like they got to get to that first. Coming up, let's talk about the Cavs side of it. Let's talk about the Cavs side of it quickly. Is Mobley the key for a leap for them? And then we'll talk about Mikal Bridges. But before we do that, let me tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel is the new sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. You can go check out FanDuel right now. See what's available for you. They have the no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets. If you don't win your first bet, you can get up to $1,000 back. That's kind of nuts. Go check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Right now they have to win the Eastern Conference. Celtics plus 115. Bucks plus 185, so they're number 2. Sixers plus 650, so they don't really believe Sixers can really get there. It's a race between the Celtics and the Bucks. So go check that out at FanDuel. If you have any other NBA things you want to check out, they have all kinds of other sports as well. Go check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. All right, Pat, let's talk about the Cavs side of this game now, because this game came down to the wire. The Cavs fought all the way back, fought valiantly, I guess, if you want to say it that way. What did you see from the Cavs side of this game before we talk about Mobley and what he means to this team?
Listen, Donovan Mitchell has really just become a dominant force.
It's been awesome.
Like my favorite thing to watch Donovan Mitchell do now, and I know everybody is going to be out here and be like, Pat, remember you said Donovan Mitchell wouldn't do this? I did, 100%. Pat was wrong. My favorite thing to watch Donovan Mitchell do is when people just like, we're gonna double team him, and he's like, no, you're not, and just splits it.
Yeah,
and it's just like there's nothing you can do. I watched him do that repeatedly in that third quarter, where it was either Harden or Maxey coming over, just trying to close out and trying to slow him down. He's just like, you're not gonna slow me down. I'm just gonna go this way anyway. Donovan Mitchell has been an absolute force. I think that's the biggest thing that keeps the Cavs in every game. I think that you also have to give some credit to what Evan Mobley did in that second half, man. I mean,
yes,
he really turned it on. I mean, I believe only 2 points in the first half in total. And in that second half just came out absolute domination, found his way to the bucket, cutting well, found a couple of open slips in there to be able to get to the bucket as well, man. So I give the Cavs credit for fighting back. And it's like you said, there's no lead that's safe in this NBA sub like 45 maybe at this point.
30 like, honestly, is still 30 is still, I think, hard. Not a lot of teams come back from 30. It's happened. It's
happening multiple times a year. Once I see it more than once in a year, I'm just like, okay, so we're doing that now as well.
It happened in the Mavs 2 years ago against the Raptors, and I still can't get over it. With Evan Mobley, though,
the Bulls blew one and won one this year.
They did what? Evan Mobley, like you said, he found his way to the bucket a bunch of times in this game. Most of those shots, I think all of his shots in the second half that he made were at the cup. And he's been a very opportunistic scorer for them. I think the next level for them, for the Cavs to take that next level up, he's got to become, he's got to get his own shot in a way. I think that's something that they're waiting for him to do.
Yeah, I think Mobley's a big key, right? And I thought that, he's really starting to step his game up over this last month of January going into February. I like what I'm seeing from him as of recent. Early on in the season, I was looking at him. I was like, hey, man, where'd you go? You were number 2 in Rookie of the Year voting. and you don't look like that guy anymore, right? And I'm sure there's them getting used to playing with Donovan Mitchell, finding out how to get him to pass you the ball at times and stuff like that. That went into it, but the fact that he's kind of coming on a little bit late now, I think that makes them a lot more dangerous, because it's not just Garland, it's not just Donovan Mitchell in those situations, right? Because if it's just those two offensively, I mean, at the end of the day, when we get in the playoffs, right, we're going to get into half court sets, and they're both 6'1". And I feel like I'm being very generous on that with Donovan Mitchell. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of that kind of changes your game when you have to go up against a player like that. But if I have this 7-footer down here who's also able to make an impact, I think that makes them so much more deadly. Just being able to finish around the rim, being able to attack the rim, and he's got to get that 3-point shot. I feel like he shot the 3 ball so much better last year.
I know that I watched him in Dallas warm up, and I know that 3-point shot is not there yet. He's working on it. He shot 25% his rookie year. He's shooting 20% this year so far from 3. So
it's not that much better.
That's years away, I think, to be like a real threat. Go to the Brook Lopez school of big man 3-point shooting. But
it doesn't kick in until you're in your 10th year, though.
Last 14 games, though, you mentioned this of Evan Mobley. He's averaging like 15 points a game for the season, but he's averaging 19 points a game last 14 games. So 19 points, about 19 and a half points, 9 rebounds, about 3 assists, a block and a half, and a steal. And the Cavs are like 12 points better when he's on the court. Like he's just been better recently, and that's a really good thing for the Cavs to see, to get him to that next level. I think when he takes that leap, this Cavs team can take that leap. But I think they're kind of waiting on that, because it's not coming from any of those wings. It's not coming from, I don't know if it's coming not coming from Karis LeVert, Osman. I don't think Isaac Okoro is taking that leap. He shot the 3 ball better, but other than that, like Ricky Rubio coming back, they bought out Kevin Love today. I don't know if anyone else is giving him that. It's got to come from one of those 4 guys, and I think Mobley's the one that has still the highest ceiling that he can still hit. That's just the way it's going to be. Let's talk about this Brooklyn Nets game, though, because this was maybe a surprising game this slate of the NBA. Brooklyn Nets win 116-105. Mikal Bridges, we were joking about the wing that dropped 45 for the Nets. 45 points for Mikal Bridges. 17 of 24 from the field. That's 71%. That's really good. 4 of 6 from 3. 7 of 7 from the free throw line. He also had 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 8 rebounds. Mikal Bridges, man, like going from Phoenix now to Brooklyn. Can he be the next like SGA, Jalen Brunson, that gets some all-star love, that just needed more of an opportunity to show what he can do?
Well, I think he showed a lot in Phoenix, right? I think now it's just, hey, you're the number 1 option on this team at the moment, because we don't have anything that's better than you right now, right? Like in Phoenix, you think about it, realistically, he was the 4th option on that team. You had Chris Paul, you had Devin Booker, you had DeAndre Ayton, and then here comes Mikal Bridges. But on the second half of that season, he seemed like he was their number 2 option offensively at times, and defensively, you knew what he was going to bring. He was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year and had a heck of a case for it. Except that there's a couple dudes that was blocking like 7 blocks a game. It was just crazy out there, man. It was crazy out there. But I love Mikal Bridges' game. I've thought that he was an excellent talent for a while, and now he gets to be the number 1 option, and he's still really tough to guard, and they get to keep giving him the basketball. And I think the other thing too is, right, like it's not Mikal Bridges, the SGA comparison. I like it in the sense of, okay, he's going to a team and it's finally going to be his team. But I think the difference is, right, SGA is the only option, or was the only option, I should say, when that whole OKC thing kind of started off. Now you're looking at a team over in Brooklyn. There's options everywhere. You got Cam Johnson. You got Cam Thomas. Nick Claxton playing much better. You've got Spencer Dinwiddie knocking down 45-foot fadeaway 3-point. Like, you want to talk about the fadeaway shot. Spencer Dinwiddie hitting the contested 3 all night. So there's options for him to go there. That makes his game that much better.
For the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to have a bunch of, like you said, there's a bunch of different options. I think maybe we're seeing Mikal Bridges be the one that emerges as the guy that could be the number 1 option for them. But I don't know if we're there after 1 game, right? Like you've seen like his last couple of games that he's played for the Nets. 18 shots, 8 shots, and then in this game he gets 24 shots. Like they're trying to figure out. You had Cam Thomas have those 40-point games. Dinwiddie's had some games where he takes a bunch of shots. Like they're trying to figure out who's the guy. Maybe it becomes Mikal Bridges. Maybe this is the game that sets it off as like, all right, Mikal Bridges is that next guy. He's gonna, if they continue to it and he does become the number one option, I think he'll score efficiently, because what we saw in this game was he can hit from three, he can hit a spot up three. He's done that in Phoenix forever. He started to add a little bit of like that mid-range pull-up that we were talking with Embiid earlier, like that little Kawhi shot. He was adding that to his game, and he was doing it in Phoenix, and now he can do it on an even better level. Like that shot is necessary in today's NBA. You have to have that shot if you're going to be like a 20-point per game scorer in the NBA. And so we're seeing a lot of different things from him. Got to the free throw line, hit 7 free throws, and then it's going to come with the defense. So as long as he continues that, we'll see. I'm watching to see if he emerges as the guy that takes that next step for Brooklyn. Coming up, let's play our favorite game, Count It Up, where we count up the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Anthony Edwards and Mike Conley being in different generations. Bones Hyland throwing some shade at the Nuggets? Question mark. We'll talk about that coming up. All right, Pat, it's time for us to play our favorite game every single week. Count it up, count it up, count it up, count it. Where we count up the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. Mike Conley was talking about the youth on the Timberwolves roster. Youths. He mentioned that one of his first things Anthony Edwards said to him was, yo, you play Call of Duty? Mike Conley probably said no. Mike Conley is 35 years old. He was drafted in 2007 out of Ohio State. Pat, count it up. What's the last video game you think Mike Conley played? Imagine he's in college in 2007. So here are the games that came out in 2007. You ready for this? Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. Yeah. Assassin's Creed, the first one. Halo 3. Guitar Hero 2. Rock Band. Remember Rock Band? Super Mario Galaxy and BioShock were the big games that came out in 2007. What do you think is the last game Mike Conley played?
I think Mike Conley probably played video games for a while in there. I'd give him probably till about...
Just lugging that Xbox 360 all around with him.
I'd give him probably till about 2014-ish.
7 years in the league.
Probably a 2K14. I mean,
come on, how old are his kids?
Let's not act like Mike Conley is 7 years in the league is still a young guy. Like, like he can't play video games. He how do we know he didn't play video games even now, right? Even now. I don't see Mike Conley as a video game guy. I could be completely off base on this. Grizzlies fans tell me if I don't know about the Mike Conley video game verse, if that's something that I don't know about, but whole time Mike Conley's probably got a Twitch out there. We've just never peeped it.
Guys, we got to get more subs. We've got to get more subs.
He's breaking trades.
Mike Conley
broke his own trade.
Mike Conley's like
on his Twitch.
In the chat, am I the best left-handed guard in the league? And everybody's like Harden, and he blocks them all. he bans them all for saying Harden.
For guard.
Something that you wanted to talk about today. The Los Angeles Lakers have remade their roster since LeBron James. Count it up. How tired of you are hearing about and talking about the Lakers? That's my count it up.
It's yeah. It's a never-ending story, and I think the thing is now they're gonna lose out on like people that actually might have wanted to hear about them because they rebuilt their roster. Because we talked about them when they were like one of the worst teams in the NBA. It's like Chuck said. Nobody's talking about the Washington Wizards on a daily basis.
Did you just say if Lakers fans are going to miss out on coverage? Listen,
I'm not saying Lakers fans. I said people that might want to hear about the Lakers rebuilding their team.
You can find it. It's talked enough about. ESPN's got that covered. Locked On Lakers does it every day. Like, you've got that covered. We're going to talk about some other teams because I'm putting a ban on Locked On NBA, at least for our episode every week. We're not talking about the Lakers till they're like an 8th seed.
That might be next week.
It could be with the West is they're 3 games back from the Pelicans for 8th right now. So
and they just beat the Pelicans.
Yeah, that is why they're 3 games back. They were 4.
That might be next week.
They were 4. So yeah, Pat was texting me about how tired he is of talking about the Lakers, and I agree. And I want to throw that in there. Bones Hyland was asked about playing with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, and now Kawhi and Paul George. He said, quote, "It was a great experience playing with Joker. 2 guys over here who are phenomenal talents, and over there, there's 1 guy with phenomenal talent as well." Pat,
Count it up.
Is this more of a burn on Jamal Murray, or is this more of a compliment on Paul George and Kawhi?
To me, more of a compliment on PG and Kawhi. You have to think about the fact Bones Hyland's been over there how long?
Like a week.
No, I'm saying in Denver. How long was he in Denver?
Oh, this is his second year, right? He was a rookie last year.
So he's essentially never gotten to play with Jamal Murray.
This year, yeah, he started to
got to play with him a little bit.
Then
You know what I mean?
You had the Twitter beef back and forth where they were throwing subtweets at each other and all that, and something didn't go right with those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. Like, it's everybody doesn't get along at work. You know what I mean. We got that guy at work that you go in and you're just like, "Hey, how you doing?" You don't have to talk to me for the next 8 hours.
This is possibly a subtweet at me.
No, that's not you, Nick. It's not you, Nick. Hayes, what's good?
Whoa, whoa! Locked on Bulls beef. I need some Bulls beef.
No,
I don't know if we've had like a public beef of two hosts on Lockdown. That'd be hilarious.
We could drum something up. I'm sure. There's somebody.
Make it up.
There's somebody at the network I don't like. I just haven't met him yet.
Come on, I'm leaning into the drama on this one. This is a total shot at Jamal Murray. Complete shot at Jamal Murray. To say that we got two phenomenal talents over here, and that there's only one over there. Like,
what has Jamal done since he's been in the league with him?
Not with them, yeah. I mean, he hasn't.
You know what I mean?
He's playing with Jamal post injury, so I guess he's.
Yeah.
You think he's? This is a high level, nuanced comment saying that, well, since I've been there, Jamal has not been a phenomenal talent, but he was before. Like, he's trying to make that. I don't think he's making that comment. I think he's.
Well, I think it's more of a right, like Kawhi and PG when they're both on the court. You literally, and now while he's there, right, he can literally see them both on the court because it's the only time we've seen it.
Yeah, these guys haven't played that much either.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But while he's there, right, you can see what Kawhi and PG are doing on the court and how they're orchestrating things. Since he's been in Denver, it's just been one big dude winning MVP every year, and then Jamal Murray came back. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't. He wasn't there for Bubble Murray. So I think that kind of plays a lot into it, right? Like, I don't know if it's shade. There might be. It might be some real beef there. There might be some real behind the scenes hate, but I don't know. I'm not taking
behind the scenes. They took it to Twitter.
That's behind the scenes.
They tweeted it. They tweeted all their hate for each other.
I don't know. I don't know how often that stuff is real.
Pat, they took it to Elon's app. Is what they did. They took it there.
I've got a lot of tweets from Elon as well that pop up on my feed that I don't know if they're real either.
That's what they're really angry about is all that. The Brooklyn Nets, we talked about them earlier, had a video tribute for James Harden this year. Harden played 80 games and 9 playoff games over 2 different half seasons. So, like, he didn't play a full season either way. He got traded there and then he got traded away in season both times. He demanded a trade, but he got a video tribute. Pat,
count it up.
What's the threshold for video tributes? We need to come up with a threshold for what deserves a video tribute.
You got to have more than like one highlight a year. What'd they even tribute? What'd they do? Just like a bunch of stuff of him like hugging the teammates on the way in?
He's got highlights. I mean, he played 80 games. Like, 80 games is actually more than I thought he played for the Brooklyn Nets, but. And it's more than Kyrie played in the time that James Harden was there, for sure.
I guess like a respect thing, you're giving him a tribute, right? But like, also, am I not mistaken? Did they not play the Brooklyn Nets again in Brooklyn last year?
I think
didn't this happen already?
We need to have a threshold of you have to play one full season.
I mean, technically he did based on like
he didn't play a full season. He only played.
He's hurt.
He played 80 games over 2 different seasons. That's half of. Hurt. He played half of 2 different seasons. It's not enough.
I'm not a if you didn't actually mean anything to the teame, we got to give you a video tribute guy.
How about you give him a video of a tribute graphic instead of a video? There's levels to it, right? There's one level where like you appeared for the team, you get a graphic. Thank you, James. It's like a Valentine's card. It's like up on the screen.
I'm gonna be honest. A Valentine's card pops up on the screen. Are you Harden for me?
Can you get Harden for me?
Can you get Harden for me? I'm not a. I don't know.
It's not even the worst thing you've said on this podcast.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm not even a video tribute guy. Like, if you didn't have an impact or a meaning to our team, like what like James didn't even do anything really in the playoffs because he was already hurt. So he kind of was just like,
do you think
this is a decoy?
This is what
they should have gave him a like, shout out to you, James, over the mic and just moved on. Like just call him
he's got it.
Starting lineup: Joel Embiid, the man in the middle, the point guard. Appreciate you, James Harden. James Harden. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't need a full on tribute.
The PA announcer has to say the stats and the story of the player. And starting at guard for the Philadelphia 76ers, he played 80 games over 2 different seasons and demanded a trade from us. Please welcome back James Harden.
I'm not a we gotta give you right. Like, I'm not like Dwayne Wade came back to Chicago after he went to Miami.
That doesn't.
I don't think we gave him a tribute. I'm pretty sure we didn't give him a tribute. Like, he's from here, and I'm pretty sure we didn't give him a tribute.
Did you give Gabrielle Union a tribute?
Relax. How about you calm down there, brother? How about you?
It is too late for us to be still recording this podcast.
You calm down.
This one I really wanted to do for Count It Up, so we'll do it here quickly.
Let's do it.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said this week that Giannis's game makes him feel that he was, quote, overcoached as a child. Quote, you get the rebound, you better not try to take it down to the other end of the court as a frontline player. That was gospel when I played back in the the 70s and 80s, 60s, even when Kareem played. Giannis has blown through all of that. So,
Count it up.
Who would be the best player with today's rules and style and freedom? Because Kareem might be the answer, because he was just dominant as a scorer. He started to add that 3 at the end. Like, if Kareem added a 3, you imagine what he would do, and if they allowed him to take the ball up, because he was athletic before he got old. I think the real answer is Wilt Chamberlain, though.
So I have 2 answers for this, right? In the modern NBA, Kareem's a great one. Of course, Michael Jordan is like,
that's the answer.
That's the answer, right? Like, whatever the question is, Jordan.
Imagine Jordan, how good he was, how little sleep he got, how little like all that kind of stuff. And imagine him with today's like medicals and like off days. Like, he probably wouldn't take them, but imagine if he got like a rest day to recuperate and play.
I just tell us, right? Like, take DeMar DeRozan from last year and then like add defense and higher IQ and greater jumping ability and championship pedigree and then put that in today's league. No, but my one that people usually debate me on, but I feel like it's probably the one I feel strongest about, that if he played in this league, he'd have a completely different career. It's Tony Kukoc.
Wow.
6'11", could handle the basketball, had a back to the basket game, could shoot the 3 ball, could facilitate. I think that he would be one of the best players in the modern NBA, a 6'11" Luka Doncic in this NBA.
You just described Lauri Markkanen.
Boom.
That's
bigger, but Tony was heavier. Tony was a little bit heavier, more pasta.
I think about Pete Maravich. Have you ever seen those old videos of Pete Maravich dribbling? Yes. And like, you imagine the things that he would do on a court now if he was playing in today's NBA?
Oh, the scariest. I mean, if we're going to be honest, right? Like, we're going all the way. The scariest would be Jerry West.
Ooh.
The scariest would be the logo. The logo was just draining threes for no reason. Like, legitimately, I'm not kidding. No reason. There wasn't a line. He was just shooting 3-pointers.
Yeah, they didn't have a 3-point line back then.
They didn't have a 3-point line. He was just like, all right, nobody's going to guard me back here and I can knock it down.
That's a good one. There's a ton of them. Let us know in the comment section what you think about it. Guys, let us know what you think about the Sixers and what run they can make. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Go check out Locked On NBA game to game. It's all of us talking about all the games. That's awesome. We cover all these teams. We know them. Go check it out. Locked On NBA game to game, available on the Locked On NBA feed, wherever you're listening, watching this, or on the YouTube app. Go check it out. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA.
Bye-bye.
Boom.